Listen, I told you I would show my family. You got a picture of my family? There's my wife, Brittany. My little boy Griffin down there, he's winking. And then there's my mini-me that I'm holding, and that's my wife. Hey, girl. It ought to be illegal to look that good, hadn't it? And my wife ain't too bad either, is she? So that's good, right? She's amazing. I love my wife. Go to that next slide right here. My little boys and our little one, they're holding a picture up, and that baby has gotten a lot bigger since then. We went to the doctor a couple weeks ago. They said the baby's already almost 6 pounds. So pray for my wife. Her rib cage is hurting. So I love my family today. I just wanted to get a sneak peek of them. I'm going to travel home tonight. We got over a 6-hour drive. I'm going to go home tonight and get there in time to give my babies a kiss as they sleep tonight. But if you got your Bibles, and if you don't have your Bible, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if you don't learn how to get into your Word, you're going to struggle in life. All right, and that's an encouraging challenge to you today. How can you talk about something you don't know? How can you share something you don't have? Boy, I know we've been having some technical difficulties, but I'm just making sure this is on. Mark 3:13 through 15. Mark 3:13 through 15. Matthew 28:16 through 20. Matthew 28:16 through 20. Back during the pandemic, I told you I was talking about it, right? Back during that time, they told us that we couldn't have gatherings. And I'm just going to tell you, people in the South, I'm just going to tell you how we operate. It was coming up on the 4th of July, and they encouraged us, our government encouraged us not to get together for barbecues and stuff like that on the 4th of July. Now, I'm just going to tell you how that translated over in the South, okay? Not very good, all right? You don't tell a bunch of people from the South that they can't get together and throw dead animals on the grill, all right? And if you are not down with eating animals, I am so sorry, okay? Because I am, all right? And how many of you like a ribeye in here? Oh, my Lord, praise God. That's anointed, you know. But we went over to my wife's parents' house, my in-laws, and we went over to their house for the 4th of July. And I'll never forget that day. We were eating all the good food, spending time together, and I consider myself a great parent. You know, me and my wife, you know, we're pretty good parents. But you know, on that day, my little boy Griffin, you know, he was really little then, but he didn't eat anything good that day. He just ate junk, and I think he drank about 15 or 16 Capri Suns, you know. And I know what I'm talking about. And so on the way home that night, we're going home, and everybody's shooting the fireworks off, right? And we're on the way home, and my little boy, he fell asleep in the back seat. He crashed. He had a sugar crash. And I could hear him back there snoring. And how do you know I have the body type to snore? All right? And I have a thing called sleep apnea. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I have a thing called a CPAP machine. All right? If you don't know about that, don't just wait. You will probably. All right? Basically what happens is I pass away in my sleep every night. And my CPAP kicks in and keeps me alive. That's what happens. And so I snore a lot. I have the body type to snore. This is what happens when I snore. My wife will hit me in the back, and she'll say, roll over. Or she'll say something like, why are you breathing? You know, things like that. You know, it's annoying when I snore. But when my little boys snore, it's the most adorable sound in the world, right? And as a parent, this is what I find myself doing a lot of nights. I'll go into their room, and I'll stand there like a psychopath in the dark, and I'll listen to them sleep. And some of you, when you have kids one day, you'll understand this. I like to listen to them breathe because the sound of breath is the sound of life. The sound of breath is the sound of life. And I know as we journey through life, there's going to be times when we're breathing hard. But I want to remind you and I want to encourage you with something today. If you're breathing, you're living. He woke you up. He put breath in your lungs for a reason. For a reason. And so we're on the way home, and my little boy's snoring. He's got these little bitty nostrils, are like little pinholes. It's like he's whistling, you know. And me and my wife, we do the classic parental thing. We start talking about the baby. And I say, oh, listen to him. He's had a day, hadn't he? She said, yeah. I said, he's so sweet, ain't he? She said, yeah. She said, you ever thought about his life? I said, well, yeah. Like what he's going to do, like with his life? And I said, well, I don't know. He likes cars. Maybe he'll be a race car driver. You know, maybe he'll preach. I don't know. And she goes, yeah. I always wonder what he's going to do, what he's going to do with his life. She said, have you ever thought about how long he's going to live? I said, what kind of sick question is that? She said, no, you know what I mean. Like, I want him to live a long time. I said, yeah, I hope he lives to 100. I mean, that's a pretty good number. You live to 100. You've seen some things. That's a good long life, 100 years. And she said, oh, my gosh, 100. What year would that be? And I said, well, he was born in 2017. If he lives to 100, he'll see the year 2117. I don't do math much because when I do, it's dangerous. Beyond my fingers and toes, I struggle, all right? I thought, oh, my gosh. That's a long time. I started thinking about how long he was going to live, and then I started thinking about how long I was going to live. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have had that honey bun. You know? Let me be generous with myself. I want to live to 100 too. Well, I'm being real generous, right? If I live to see 100, it'll be the year 2086. If I live to 100. And so I started putting it together, and I thought, even if he lives to 100, and even if I live to 100, I won't be there to see him reach that milestone. That what I do in front of my son, when my time is done here on earth, what I leave with him, what will be known as my legacy. And I'm gonna say this to you today. If you live your life lying, when your life's done here on earth, they're going to say of you, they were a liar. It got quiet, didn't it? If you struggle with alcohol, I hate to tell you this. You spend your day struggling with that stuff from here on out. When you're done, they're going to say, man, they were an alcoholic. They were an addict. You spend your life being greedy, not generous. By the way, you're called to be a generous people. By the way, you're called to dream for the lost, right? If you spend your days as a greedy person, they'll say, man, they were greedy. But let me encourage you today. If you love the things of God, they're going to say of you, they were a lover of the things of God. And I want to know today, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? If I was to go around this room and I was to ask you about your story, the story of your life up to this point, and I could go around this room and I could hear the stories The stories that I would hear were probably some of the most horrific stories I've ever heard in my entire life. For some of you in the room, it would be a story of how people walked out on you. Maybe you're in here today and you say, you know what, my dad, they walked out on me. Or you're in here today, you say, my mom, she walked out on me. Or maybe I don't even know who my mom or dad is. Or maybe my dad has never told me that he loves me. Or maybe my mom has never told me that she loves me. Or your home is full of chaos. Or you've got parents who are alcoholics, maybe even abusive. And maybe you've been on the other end of that abuse. Maybe some of you have been abused. Or you've been neglected. Or you've been made fun of. Some of you are going through it at school right now. People are making fun of you. They're picking on you. If I was to go around and ask you your story, and everybody in here has one, I wonder what I would hear. I'd probably hear about unfair circumstances from some of you. Can I tell you that as you go throughout this life, I want to go ahead and let you in on a little something. The word fair, it shouldn't even be a word. This life is unfair. They walked out on you. That's unfair. Some of you feel like I missed out because people walked out on me. Can I encourage you today? You feel like you missed out, but I'm going to tell you, the ones who walked out, they're really the ones who missed out on something incredible with your life. They missed out. But I bring good news today. God has the ability to take the ingredients of your life, good and bad, and turn them into something beautiful. He can do with your life, if you'll give it to Him, He has the ability to make up for lost time. This life is a mountain. It's a beast. It's rough, it's rocky, it's steep, it's unfair at times. It can be a cold thing. But what if I told you that on the other side of that mountain was a piece of property with your name on it? What if I told you that? There's a piece of property that's got your name on it. It's already been bought. It's already been purchased. It's yours. As far as the eye can see, the most beautiful piece of land anybody could ever imagine. And it's for you. It's just for you and Him to enjoy. Would you climb it to get to it? I hope you brought your climbing clothes today. I hope you're ready to go to the next level today. Can I tell you that He'll find you and He'll love you every time? But saying the prayer, having a moment at camp or a convention, can I tell you that's just the starting point of it? That's just the launching point of it. He's got an incredible life with your name on it. He wants you to go with Him to higher places today, to another level today. I don't know about you, but I want to be next level. Mark 3:13 through 15, Jesus appoints the 12. It said that He climbed a mountain. You might want to underline that. And He invited those He wanted with Him. They climbed together. He settled on 12 and designated them apostles. And the plan was that they would be with Him. And He would send them out to proclaim the word and give them authority to banish demons. Matthew 28:16 through 20. Meanwhile, the 11 disciples were on their way to Galilee, headed for the mountain Jesus had set for their reunion. And the moment they saw Him, they worshiped Him. Some, though, held back, not sure about worship, about risking themselves totally, which meant that some doubted that it was really Him. And Jesus, undeterred, He went right ahead and He gave His charge. God authorized and commanded me to commission you. Go out and train everyone you meet. Make disciples, right? Far and near in this way of life, marking them by baptism in the threefold name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Then instruct them in the practice of all I have commanded you. And I'll be with you as you do this, day after day after day, right up to the end of the age. We have two different passages of Scripture here. Jesus appoints the 12. Have you ever thought about the number 12 compared to the number of people in the world? That's not a very big number, is it? We have a pretty good crowd in here today for this event, but I'm going to tell you, this number compared to the number of people that are outside these walls, this is just a little handful. This is just a few people, isn't it? Can I tell you that today we're reading about 12 people that said, I'm going to give up my everyday life to follow Jesus. I'm not talking about walking with them like we walk with them today. I'm talking about they physically walked with them. They said, I'm going to give up my career. I'm going to give up relationships. I'm going to give up my everydays to follow Jesus. See, anybody can just show up every once in a while. I'm looking for a few that says, I'm going to give up my everydays. Because there's a few of them, when they gave up their everydays, we're still reading about them today. And I wonder what we're going to read about your life one day. So you have an opportunity. You can be one of the many out there that we don't read about, or you can be one of the few that we do. You can either be one of the many or one of the few. Pretend, contend. You see the theme? So he comes up here. He finds 12, right? And he invites those he wants with him. I came here to tell you today, there's an invitation on the table with your name on it. There's an invite on the table with your name on it. You know what an invitation is? An invitation is when you have something going on more than what you've been having going on. Does that make sense? I love you. I've spent a good amount of time with you, but I got something special happening, and I want to invite you to it, right? Hey, I'm getting married, and here's an invite. Hey, I'm graduating high school. Here's an invite. Hey, my birthday party's coming up, right? Here's an invite. We got a baby shower happening. Here's an invite. Who do you invite to those things? You invite the ones that you have spent time with, that you have a relationship with. And what you're saying is I love you so much, I want to experience more with you. There's an invite. It wasn't a command. It wasn't a demand. He didn't say like, hey, if you don't show up, I'm going to hunt you down and slit your tires. That's not what he's saying. If you don't show up, I'm going to find you. He didn't say that. He said, hey, I love you, and I'm going to be up here in the high place. I'm inviting you to go higher with me. An invitation on the table. So he sends out an invite for the ones he wanted with him. Here's what happened. 12 accepted the invite. And when they showed up, here's what it said. It said they climbed together. That's a significant thing. When they showed up, he didn't say, go on without me. When they showed up, he said, all right, glad you're here. I'm out. He said, great, you made it. Let's climb. You were built to climb, by the way. Let's climb to a higher place. And as they climbed together, he settled on 12 and he appoints them. He designates them apostles. And then here's what happens. He unfolds a plan for their life. And some of you are sitting here and you're coming here today and you're saying, does God even have a plan for my life? What's the plan for my life? Can I tell you something? We live in a world right now that elementary age kids and junior high kids and these high school kids, they're getting this unbelievable pressure to sort of figure out their whole life just like that. You got to figure out where you're going to go to college. You got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. Can I tell you this? You don't have to figure it out overnight. I'm about to read a plan for these 12 right here, and I believe it's the same plan for your life. Are you ready to hear it? Because some of you come in here wanting to know what the plan for your life is. I've got it right here. Ain't this awesome? We're going to read about it. He unfolds this plan, and here was the plan. The plan was that they would be with him. That was easy, wasn't it? What's the plan for my life? It's the same plan for the 12. You get up and you be with him. You get up and you fall in love with him all over again every day. That's what you do. And when you do that, everything else falls into place. Ain't that easy? The plan was that they would be with him. And once they had been with him, here's what he said. Here's the other part of the plan. You be with me, and once you've been with me, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you out to proclaim the word. I'm going to send you out for you to tell everybody how you've been with me and how good I am. It's a good plan. What if things come my way? Oh, yeah, that's the other part of the plan. Here, let me tell you. I'm going to send you out to proclaim the word, and I'm going to give you the authority to banish demons. As you unfold this plan, as you live it out, as you are with me and you go out and tell everybody about it, things are going to come your way, but I'm going to give you everything you need to knock it out of the way, to get it out of your path. You see in the theme here today? I don't know about you, but that's a good plan. Matthew 28:16-20. The Great Commission, we've all seen this, right? We start with 12. He appoints the 12, but the Great Commission. Meanwhile, the 11 disciples. We went from 12 to 11, didn't we? That meant that somebody quit, didn't they? Somebody quit on the plan, didn't they? Can I go ahead and just brace yourself for this? People are going to quit on you. You do ministry, boy, they're really going to quit on you. I can't tell you how many people have quit on me, and a lot of times it's the people I love the most that quit on me. A lot of times it was the people that had the most potential, but they were pretending. They're going to quit on you. They're not going to understand what you do at a conference. They hadn't experienced that Holy Ghost moment at that camp. They don't know what that's like. They're not going to understand it. They're going to quit on you. They're going to say things like, why are you out there doing this? Why are you out there going to church on Sunday? You know, I've graduated high school, and the people I cared about, their lives are a mess. I have people I see on social media, and sometimes they message me. When I first started doing ministry, I had people I went to high school with, and they messaged me, and they said, hey, I see you're in ministry. Why in the world would you want to do that? You're going and preaching in churches on Sunday? I'm out here on the lake tearing it up. And some of them have tore it up on the lake so much on Sundays, they don't have custody of their kids anymore. They've tore it up so much that they're my age and they're on their third or fourth marriage. They've tore it up so much. It got quiet in here. People are going to quit on you. Started with 12, finished with 11. And they meet him again. And where did they meet him? They met him on the mountain, a high place. He's always in the high place. He's always want to do more in the high place. And the moment they saw him, they worshiped him. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's the appropriate response. When you see the Lord, here's the appropriate response. You worship him. That's always the right response. And when they saw him, they worshiped him. But there were some that they held back. They doubted. I'm going to let you off the hook. You're going to get up. Some days, you're going to doubt. They could see him and they doubted. You know, when you get the news that your loved one only has 3 months to live because the cancer is spread, you're going to doubt. This life's unfair, isn't it? When your friend gets killed in a car accident, something you had no control over, and some of you experienced that, you're going to have doubt. When the bank account's low one day, when you're trying to provide for your family, boy, you're really going to doubt. There's going to be days you're going to doubt. You're riding this wave of high right now with this Youth Alive thing. But here in a couple of months, when you don't have this conference to go to that day, you may get up and doubt whether or not you could do it or not. You're going to have days where you doubt. They did. But I love this part. Some were not sure about worship because they doubted. They wasn't sure about it, about risking themselves totally. Can I encourage you today with this? Go ahead and risk yourself with him. Because when you risk yourself with him, you're not risking anything at all. All you're doing is going higher and higher and higher. Risk yourself. Risk your relationships. He's worth it. Risk your friends. He's worth it. Risk your popularity. He's worth it. They weren't sure about risking themselves. They're doubting. They're not worshiping. But here's the part I love. Jesus undeterred. He ain't fazed by it. He went ahead and he gave his charge. See, even when we doubt, even when we don't feel like it's working, God is always moving. Jesus is always moving. He's always working. And he was undeterred. He gave his charge anyway. And here's what he said. God authorized and commanded me to commission you. Go out and train everyone you meet. Make disciples far and near, right? Follow the plan. And I'll be with you as you do this. And some of you are saying, how long will he be with me on this? Here's what he tells you right here. I'll be with you as you do this. Day after day after day after day after day after day after day. Till it's finished. How long do you do it? Till it's finished. How long will he be with me as I do it? Till it's finished. I don't know about you, but that's a good plan. That's a good plan. I ain't going to say when I was little because I ain't never been little. But I remember being a young man. I'm going to come down here on the floor so I don't fall off this stage. I don't think y'all got a forklift handy, do you, around here? You can come down off this stage a little bit. But I remember when I was a young man, not little, when I was young. Now, go with me for a second. I'm painting a picture here. Imagine 7, 8-year-old Brooks, no beard, just a smooth, round face like a baby's bottom. How many know what I'm talking about? And I remember it was one of my first bikes that I had that didn't have any training wheels on it. I had rode that bike so much, I had wore it out. Do y'all know what wore it out is? I don't know if you do or not. That's how we say it down there in Alabama. We wore it out. I had outgrown this bike. This thing was rickety. The nuts and bolts wasn't holding it together very good. All the rubber on the handlebars had been ripped out. The little foam pad that's supposed to keep you safe was gone. The tires were dry rotted. And I would pump them up and I'd ride a little bit and they'd be flat again. The wheels were were bent from where my friends threw their broom handles through it, and where my dad had ran over it in the driveway. The bike was on its last leg. And I'll never forget, I went to my dad. And my dad, he's real Southern. And he's got like this sinus thing where he kind of does a little cough and sniff before he says anything, you know. And I said, hey, Dad, I said, man, I need a new bike. And he said, yeah, that one's wore out, ain't it? That's what he said. I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I ran over it in the driveway the other day. I said, yeah, I know. He said, yeah. He said, Saturday, we'll go on down there and get you one. Now, some of y'all don't know where go on down there is. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know where go on down there was either. I just knew we were going somewhere to get me a bike. And he said Saturday. That was specific because Dad got paid on Saturdays. On Fridays. And some of you, you know what I'm talking about. Back in the day, on Thursday, my mom would go to the grocery store in Walmart, and she'd write the check because she knew that by the time it went through, Dad would have gotten paid. How many know what I'm talking about? Don't you get shy on me in here today. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we're getting close to Saturday, and I'm at school, and I'm thinking about the bike that I want because there's some kids in my neighborhood. They have the bikes that I want. Some of my friends, they had these bikes with like pegs and stuff on the front and the back. How many know what I'm talking about? They could do some tricks out in the streets, all right? And I thought to myself, man, I'd like to do some tricks, right? I can't even see my feet, but I'm going to do some tricks, right? And so I thought, I need a bike like that. And some of them, because they had them pegs, right, their little girlfriends could ride on the bike with them. They'd stand on the pegs, and they'd put their hand on their shoulders. And I thought, well, I don't have a girlfriend, but maybe I would if I had a bike like that. You know what I'm saying? Right? And so I'm at school one day, and I go to a group of kids, and back in the early 90s, they were what was known as the skater kids. How many know what I'm talking about? They wore these big jeans called Jinkos. Anybody know what that is? Yeah, the ugliest things you've ever seen. Big old ugly jeans. They had a chain that went from their front belt loop, dropped all the way down, come right back up to their wallet. They didn't have no money in their wallet. When I was growing up, we called them LMVs, lunch money victims. That's what we called them when they had those chains. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Y'all need a safe place in here. All right. Whatever. All right. And they had this hair that would drop down in their eyes. And they would always be doing this number. Like, bro, just go to the barbershop and get you a haircut. You ain't got to do all that. They wore shoes called Airwalks. Does anybody know what an Airwalk is? They were so wide. They looked like pillows on your feet. They were ugly too. But they served a purpose. You could ride your skateboard with them, right? They didn't look like I did. They really wasn't my style. You're not going to be everybody's style, by the way. But I knew they knew about the thing I wanted. So I went to them, and I said, hey, I need a bike. They said, okay, what kind of bike you need? And I kind of told them what I wanted. They pulled out a magazine. It was a X Games magazine. And they turned the page, past the skateboards, past the rollerblades. All of a sudden, they got to the bike section. And they opened it up, and there on the page was the bike that I wanted. I said, oh, that's it. They said, oh, yeah, that's a nice one. They said, that's a BMX. I said, oh, that's my bike. It was chrome and red. It had chrome pegs on it. This thing was bad. It wasn't put together with nuts and bolts. This thing was welded together. I said, oh, that's it. They said, yeah. Here's what it cost. I said, well, that's all right. My dad can take care of that, right? They said, okay. I said, but just in case he can't, what's my next option? They said, well, you can get a Huffy or something like that. I was like, okay, all right. Well, where can I get that? And they said, well, there's a bike shop in town. It's called Cycle Escape. I said, okay. They said, you know where that's at? I said, no. They said, do you know where McDonald's is? I said, well, that's a dumb question. You know I know where McDonald's is. Oh, yeah, I got a McGurgle on my tummy right now. I'd like to have a double cheese. You know what I'm talking about? They said, well, it's right behind McDonald's. I said, okay, good. Saturday rolls around. I go to my dad. And I said, hey, Dad, are we going to go get a bike? He said, yeah. We get up. We had a regular cab truck, regular cab Chevrolet. He got in the driver's seat. I got in the middle. My mom got in the passenger seat. And we take out across Montgomery, Alabama, where I'm from. And we're driving. All of a sudden, I see the Golden Arches. And I thought, oh, McNuggets would be good right now. But I knew we were getting close to Cycle Escape. And we turn. And I see the sign, Cycle Escape. And I said, Dad knows what I need. And we keep driving past Cycle Escape. And I'm looking out the window and I said, hey, Dad. I said, Dad, there's Cycle Escape right there. And he said, we ain't going to no Cycle Escape. He said, we're going to Walmart. How many know what I'm talking about? Walmart, it's a lot like the church van we talked about earlier. Another place where dreams go to die, right? You don't believe in aliens? You see one every time you go to Walmart. You know what I'm talking about. You want a bottle of juice? Don't worry. Somebody's already drank it and put the bottle back on the shelf. You know what I'm talking about. Can't never get a buggy where all four of the wheels work right. You know what I'm talking about? Walmart, okay? We pulled into Walmart. And we walked to the back, and I thought, well, maybe they got a BMX. They did not. I get back there, and I see the bikes. And I thought, man, they ain't got it. And I'm looking, and then all of a sudden it happened. Something caught my eye. It was a bike. It wasn't red and chrome, but it was gray and orange. It didn't have chrome pegs, but it had some black pegs on it. It kind of looked like the BMX. And I thought, well, maybe that right there, maybe that'll work. So I pull it down, and I look at it, and it's not a BMX. It's what we know as a mongoose. Does anybody know what a mongoose bike is? Yeah. So the mongoose, this is what it was. It was the Great Value BMX is what it was. How many know what Great Value is, right? I'm not talking about no Cinnamon Toast Crunch up in here. I'm talking about some toasted cinnamon cereal squares. You know what I'm talking about? Comes in a bag, right? You got them rolled up with a paper clip on top of your refrigerator right now. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It was the Great Value. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why. It's Great Value and it's not name brand. It's got things in it that's like filler, right? It kind of looks like it, but it's not, all right? It ain't the real thing. Let me tell you what it is. It is something that will tear your stomach up. How many know what I'm talking about? You'll eat them things. You'll be on the toilet holding the wall trying to figure out what's going on with your life. Speaking in tongues. You get what you pay for. I'm just going to tell you, right? Well, I said, a mongoose. I said, man, what is a mongoose, you know? And I got to thinking about it. I said, Dad, what's a mongoose? He said, I think it's some sort of varmint. And I got to thinking, we read a story in school called Ricky Tikki Tavi about a mongoose who ate snakes. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? And I thought, this thing must be bad. It could eat snakes, you know? It had a seat on it that looked like a little slice of pie. Y'all know where I'm going with this. I sat down on that bike. And I'm going to tell you what, they thought I was doing a magic trick inside Walmart. I'm talking about abracadabra. Now you see it, now you don't. The bike seat, it went up, and away, and nobody ever saw it again. You know what I'm talking about? Up into the abyss. I'm never going to be able to come back to Illinois, am I? It went away. I think the bike seat is still in this room right now. It's on the stage, all right? The pedals, they went up in between my thighs. I didn't know I could get anything in between my thighs, all right? I'm just going to tell you. My thighs are so fat, when I run, it sounds like a standing ovation. The handlebars was up in my chest, and I ain't going to get into that, but I need some help up there too, all right? The bike didn't fit me. And my dad comes around the corner, and this is what he says. Boy, you ain't got enough bike. That's what he said. And he said, Rhonda, come here and look at this. And here comes my mom. Oh, Donnie, look at him on that bike. He said, get off of it. Get off that bike. Boy, that ain't going to work. And I'm supposed to go ride bikes with my friends that afternoon, and I thought, how in the world am I going to ride bikes? And then all of a sudden I hear it. My dad rolls around a bike that he picked out. It was the biggest, ugliest bike I have ever seen in my entire life. It looked like something the Wicked Witch had been driving on The Wizard of Oz. Big wheels. I mean, I'm talking about had a big old seat on it. I said, oh, no, Dad. I'm not riding that. That's a granny bike. He said, get on it. Get on it. I got on it. You know what happened when I got on it? I ain't going to lie. That seat felt good on my lower back. I thought, oh, you know what? This feels pretty good, Billy. You know? You know what else I noticed? The pedals were right where I needed them to be. The handlebars were right where I needed them to be. And I said, you know what? This thing does feel good. I said, watch this. Dad said, that's the brakes. I said, well, watch this when you do that. Well, that's when you shift the gears. I said, why do you do that? He said, when you get on terrains where you can't pedal, the pedaling gets hard. You shift those gears, it'll help you pedal a little bit easier. I thought, okay. He said, son, this is a mountain bike. You're too big for that other bike. You were made for the mountain. And I know we got a good laugh, and I pushed the envelope a little bit. And we laughed a little bit. But some of you, you've been out here living a life you were never built to live. When you've been built for the mountain the whole time. I'm going to tell you right now, what we're doing, it ain't the most flashy thing on the block. I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't the most glamorous thing on the block. Ministry, a lot of times, it's big and it's ugly. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be the thing that holds you up. It's going to be the thing that sustains you. And it's going to be the thing that carries you to your purpose and your destiny. And I just want to encourage you today, I don't care what it looks like. When you get on it and you ride, it feels good. When you get on it and you ride it, you're going to get where you're going. It's a lot smoother than going the other route. I'll never forget, my friends came over to ride bikes that day. They come out with their BMXs and their Huffies and their 1 or 2 mongooses in front of the house. And I came down the driveway looking like Lance Armstrong on the Tour de France. And I pull out there, and my bike had a water bottle on it. I had that thing full of ice and Minute Maid fruit punch. And I waterfalled it in front of my friends, and I put it back. And here's what happened. They said, I thought you were going to get a bike. I said, well, I did. They said, that bike's lame. I thought you were going to get a BMX. I said, well, it didn't work out. And I said, well, let's just ride. So we're riding. And I found out something. That bike, I couldn't do all the tricks that everybody else could do. But I could ride a lot smoother than they could. We had a big hill in the back of my neighborhood. And on the other side of that hill was my friend Marcus's house. And Marcus's house had frozen pizza from Swan's. Marcus's house had BB guns and pool tables. The only way to get to Marcus's house is you had to go up this steep hill, which none of us could do. Only the bigger, more experienced kids could do that hill. Or you could go the long route around the neighborhood that took all day, but most of the time people quit on the journey. And I'll never forget, I said, I want to go to Marcus's house. And they said, okay. And they go to take the long route. And I said, no, we're not going the long route. What we're going to do is we're going to go up the hill today. And they said, oh, you can't go up that hill. I said, oh, yes, I can. My father bought me this bike, and he said this thing can climb mountains. I came here to tell you today that the Father has bought, purchased, and given you everything you need to get to the top. My father said that I could. And I'll never forget, I worked up some speed, and I hit that hill going as fast as I could. And I got about a third of the way up, and my fat thighs began to jiggle. And I hear him behind me, oh yeah, he's struggling. But then all of a sudden it happened. I remember what my father told me. When the pedaling gets tough, you shift the gears and you can pedal a little bit easier. So here's what I did. I shifted those gears, and he was right. I began to pedal a little bit easier. And before I knew it, I was halfway up the hill. And before I knew it, I was 3/4 of the way up this hill. And I hear them behind me, and they said, he might do it. He might make it. And then I heard if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. And before I knew it, I got to the top of the hill, and I turned around, and I saw the neighborhood in a way I had never seen it before. I could see the big picture of things. And I looked down, and there they were. Some of my friends, they were pedaling as hard as they could up the mountain. Some of them had got off their bikes. They were trying to walk their bike up. There's a couple of them, they kicked their girlfriends off their bike, and they took their bike and went home and quit. But the ones that did, I looked at them, and all of a sudden, I became their coach. And all of a sudden, I said it. Come on, Tommy. Come on, Pierre. Yeah, I had a Pierre. Come on, Joel. Come on, Marcus. Not all of them made it, but a few of them did, Billy. And when they did, we went and we took in something at Marcus's house. We had an experience at Marcus's house that nobody else knew about, that nobody else experienced because they walked away from it. Hey, I'm telling you today, not only are you built to climb, but your friends, they're built to climb too. You may be the first Jesus they see. And if they see you doing it, they'll say, maybe I can do it too. Maybe if it worked for them, maybe it can work for me too. Do we have a picture of that mountain today? I don't know if you got it or not. There it is. Anybody know what that mountain is? That's El Capitan. And there's a documentary out about this mountain. It's been out for several years called Free Solo. It's about an American mountain climber named Alex Honnold. He free soloed El Capitan. So you say, what does free solo mean? It means he climbed it without any ropes or harnesses. Yeah, what a nut job, right? I get into that documentary and I said, this guy is out of his mind. He had given up relationships. He had sold everything he had to live in a van. He devoted everything he had to the rock. That's what he did. And I thought, man, this guy is so out there. Why would make anybody want to do this? And he's telling everybody that he's been climbing El Capitan with others, and he's been climbing it with ropes and harnesses, but eventually he's going to get to a point where he's not going to need all that. He's going to free solo this thing. He's going to do something that nobody's ever done before. And they would say, why would you do that? You're going to die. Camera crews, they started getting camera crews ready to go and document this thing. They were basically preparing to film his death, Billy. But here was his posture. Here was his attitude. This is what he said. They said, what if you die? He said, if I die, I die. If I perish, I perish. But I'll do it doing the thing I love, and that's climbing the rock. He said, you don't understand this? Nobody has seen the views the way I've seen them. You don't know what it's like to conquer a mountain because you've never done it before, they're not going to understand everything you do. It'll seem crazy to them, but they haven't tasted how good He is like you have, had they? He didn't just free solo that mountain. He went, he studied that mountain every day. He knew where every little nook and cranny was. And he would go back and he would document everything that he studied on the mountain. He would make notes. He knew where to step. He knew where to stand. He knew where to grab. Until one day he walks up, he free solos this mountain. It took him a few hours. At one point on the mountain, he had to shimmy up a crack for about 45 minutes. At one point on the climb, he had nowhere to grab. He had to literally jump off of one part of the mountain, risking himself totally to grab onto another part. It was the only route to get there. He had to risk himself. And he did, and all of a sudden it happened. After a few hours of climbing and clawing his way up, he reaches the top, and he takes in a view that nobody had ever taken in before. I get into the documentary, and I find out that his mom never told him that she loved him. His dad died when he was a young boy. He took unfair circumstances of his life, and he drove it to the mountain. Life is unfair. I don't understand why they walked out on you. I don't understand why kids have to be abused. I don't understand why they picked on you. I don't understand why that person didn't make it. I don't understand those things. That's unfair. But I know this today, God is good. This life, it's rough and rocky. But He said, I'll be with you day after day after day after day. That's what He said. Can you bow your heads and close your eyes as we prepare our hearts to respond today? What if I told you that there's a piece of property with your name on it? A beautiful piece of land as far as the eye could see. It's yours. Just for you. Would you climb? And I'll even sweeten the deal today. What if I told you that it would be your job to get up and report to the base of that mountain every day to climb it? But every day that you got up and reported to the base of that mountain, there would be a guide that would meet you there. That there wouldn't be one day that you showed up that he wouldn't be there. And he would climb with you. And on that climb, you would laugh together, you would cry together. There would be a relationship formed like no other. There would be days you didn't think you could go, but the guide, he'd put his arm around you and give you the support you needed. He would give you a boost. Or there would be days that you had nowhere to grab or nowhere to stand, but all of a sudden a place would appear and the guide would open up his mouth and be the one who put it there for you. What if I told you that? And what if I told you that on the climb there would be some days you would fall off, but the guide, he would catch you and he would put you back on it again. Until one day all of a sudden it happens, you reach the top and you stand up and you and him, you take in a view like no one has ever seen before. See, I came here to tell you today that there is a mountain, and it's called your life. I came here to tell you today that there is a piece of land, a piece of property. It's real. And it's called your purpose and your destiny. And there is a guide. And his name is Jesus. And he'll climb with you every day. There's an invitation on the table. There's an invite on the table. I'm looking for a climber today. I'm not looking for a weak. I'm looking for a strong today. I'm challenging you. If you're ready to climb to the high place, could you stand where you're at? And if you're standing, can you step out of your seat and come up? Can you just begin to kneel down at this altar? Just find a place. Come on, hurry, make your way. Make your way. The mountain is calling. The mountain is calling. The views, they're waiting to be seen. Day after day after day after day. To the end of the age. I don't know how long you're going to live. I don't hold that. I'm not the keeper of time.